Joe, let's keep it here.
Yeah,
let's keep it here because we do have a who gets it and who doesn't to get into. Just because Mackey goes away does not mean that we steer away from all of our benchmarks. Random season recall will wait because we do need to be at full strength for that one.
Yeah.
But,
and you know what? More camera space for us too.
Exactly. Look at all this. See a little bit more room. You get to see a little bit more of all the good stuff. Yeah.
For those who are consuming the show on YouTube, I can include a bobblehead at my home here because I've got a Miguel Sano.
Oh, Sano. I thought it was Hip Hip Jorge.
No. I don't think there's been one. I don't. That'd be a good one. See,
that would be a good one.
Miguel Sano. Now, unfortunately, he's about to strike out. Poor little guy.
Well, you know what Miguel Sano should maybe be focusing on after this season, Judd?
What should he be focusing on?
He should maybe be going to PXG Minneapolis and Southdale Center. And you know what, Miguel? Why don't you get one of those big boy drivers? Because there's plenty of options that you could go. You can get the Gen 4 clubs that are there. Mm-hmm. There's the prototypes that are there, the 811X prototypes, the 0211 drivers. I know Miguel Sano can hit bombs. Okay, I know he can hit bombs. I can only imagine when he steps up to the tee on a par 5, 500 plus yards out, and I know he's going to absolutely bomb it down the fairway. One of those Gen 4 clubs could absolutely be in play. And for me, I'm trying to figure out how to continue to break this 100. Yeah, I think I got to go and get one of these new putters. Yes. So let me read you some of these putters at PXG.
First off, tell us what you use, which I didn't know until yesterday, and then tell us how much the PXG putters would improve your chances.
I am using a mini putter, basically. It's older than me.
This is incredible because you're serious about golf now.
It literally looks like a car, like a TV remote. It is.
What are
you
not
doing? Good. I know. So I need to go to PXG.
Yeah. Okay.
Get one of these new putters. Let me just read you some of these putters that PXG has at their disposal. The Blackjack, the one and done. I think that one might be it, Judd. The one and done. Just one putt. I'm in. I'm good. The Closer, the Bad Attack, the Spitfire. You tell me. You hear all these putters.
Closer.
The Closer?
Go with the Closer.
Okay, I'll go with the
Closer. You're trying
Closer.
to close the deal on consistently breaking 100. Go with the Closer.
This is what I'm trying to do, and our friends at PXG Minneapolis and Southdale Center are going to help me out. They can help you out. Check them out, PXG in Southdale Center.
Yeah, go there. Get a putter, my man. They'll help you.
I'll work on it.
And get me a shirt.
A shirt? Yes, I'll get you some swag. I know you would love some swag. I know you would love some swag.
But I'd like some swag.
Exactly.
All right. Shall we do it?
Who gets it
and who doesn't? I'm going to let you start. And I have a feel I would say, because you're young. Deep down, you love the Vikings. Like, you really do care a lot.
Yeah, of course I do.
But I mean, you still have hope that this can all end well and high hopes. I would describe your mood as not completely, but close to despondent yesterday. The Chad Graff story in The Athletic today, if the Vikings indeed are near the bottom of the league in vaccinated players, and we know for a fact that there's 5 or more starters, I got a feeling I know where you're going to start. But okay, who gets it? Who doesn't get it?
Well, the Vikings don't get it. The Vikings 100% do not get it. And I got hammered in our YouTube comment section yesterday for being too negative, or maybe I sounded like Jerry Seinfeld apparently when I get too riled up. And I guess, what's the deal with the Vikings? I guess that is me now.
That's not a bad thing to just.
No, I'll be Jerry. I
saw that one. Yeah.
But I'll tell you who doesn't get it, and it's the Minnesota Vikings. For God's sakes, these last 4 or 5 days, it's classic Vikings. We wrapped with Royce earlier this morning. We said the same thing. This is starting to feel again like 2010, 2011 for the Minnesota Vikings. The vaccination rates are low. Dakota Dozier's still getting run. The head coach is pissed off. I thought Green Bay was dysfunctional, and you know what? They're far from being a perfectly ran organization by any means right there, because they're in the camp too right now with the Vikings of being dysfunctional. The Vikings absolutely do not get it. I'm now, I know, starting to question everything with their free agent additions. I am absolutely perplexed. I don't know how now you can look at this and say you just sweep it under the rug and you'll get it figured out. There's a bunch of starters who apparently are not vaccinated. Just for God's sakes, the league has set things up for you. Science has set things up for you. Your health providers have set things up for you for this to be a swimmingless process and for your own personal beliefs. Yes, you are allowed to have your personal belief, but when you are a football team and there's protocols in place and you're trying to create a greater good that everyone's trying to accomplish and make everyone happy, you do have to abide by things you might not agree with. Do you think if I sat down with Mike Zimmer and had a glass of red wine and we talked about the world's differences, do you know how many things Mike Zimmer and I would probably agree on? Less than 10%. I can guarantee Mike Zimmer and I don't see eye to eye on a lot of things in the world. He sees this vaccination. He sees the variant. He sees COVID as a significant situation. And the league and doctors have put in places to make this a seamless process, an easier process. I won't say it's seamless, but an easier process. And there's players on this team, prominent players, who are making the decision to not do this just because of their own personal right. You won't go to jail. That is fine. We've all can understand that. But for God's sakes, get the vaccine. Let's win a bleeping Super Bowl. That's what I care about. I don't care about your personal beliefs, dude. I want to see this team in a Super Bowl, and you're putting it behind the 8 ball by putting your personal choices in front of you.
Sounds like a t-shirt. From Chad Graff's story, according to a source, one unvaccinated Vikings player told another that he'd rather sit out the season than receive the vaccine.
Bye.
That could be your quarterback, my man. We don't know.
Honestly, it's so
right.
frustrating to me, dude.
I'm going to give you a who gets it.
Okay.
And again, for the second consecutive day, it's Bizarro World. I'm going to give you a positive thing. You know who gets it? Jake Browning. Jake Browning is now I feel bad because I'm pretty sure that his right arm's going to become detached from his body soon after the amount of passes he threw on Saturday. And then while Case Cookus was practicing yesterday, he basically was in drills handing off. And again, all of the passes essentially went to Jake Browning, including a nice 40-yard touchdown pass to Justin Jefferson, which you can find on the Score North Twitter feed because I sent it to Dex and Dex posted it. But Jake Browning and it's practice, okay? So I'm not trying to say he can step into a game. I have no idea. But Jake Browning is making the most of an opportunity that is golden. And he went, in my opinion, Dex, into camp as the second QB. So the depth chart going into camp, I think, was Cousins, Browning, Mon, Stanley. But I don't know that Browning had it wrapped up at that time. And unless the Vikings are going to go out and get a veteran quarterback to back up Cousins because they're fearful that Kirk is going to miss games and that they want a veteran in that role, Browning has if they're going to stick with their current quarterback, Browning has this wrapped up. And it's been impressive and good for him. Good for him because this is tough. Like, I mean, he's out there throwing every single pass. You're supposed to have 4 QBs, Dex. So Jake Browning gets it, and Jake Browning is getting a great opportunity and making the most of that. Again, I bring positivity. This is completely bizarre. You're melting down. Mackey was very concerned yesterday, and Judd Zolgad shows up with a positive outlook on things.
I know, it's shocking. It's absolutely shocking. But yeah, kudos to Jake Browning, man. I mean, 90 passes on Saturday. That was a lot. And, I'll eat some crow here that I always thought, all right, how much does a practice squad QB for 2 years really matter? I mean, is he really going to make a difference? Is he just a body? Is it more than just a body? Is he just a brain in the room? Is he just someone to lean on during, film reviews and this, and that? And for him to step in, throw 90 passes on Saturday, nearly took your head off with a deep throw to KJ Osborne.
Yeah.
He absolutely gets it. And I agree. Even if Kellen Mond didn't get COVID and also is sidelined here for a little bit, we all thought that Browning pried the leg up on the number 2. I think it's wrapped up. And honestly, our friend Chris Long, man, if there was actual bets that could be made on plus 7,500 for Mr. Mankato, that would have been one hell of a payout. And right now, Jake Browning, I mean, he's probably in the top 3 with KJ Osborne. I would say he's definitely in the top 3 for Mr. Mankato odds. We might have to update that every week as we go through training camp here. But he's definitely in the top 3 for leading candidates to win Mr. Mankato. I was very impressed. It is pretty damn cool to see him step in and do that. I liked it. I'll give you a who gets it.
Okay.
And it might be a little untraditional, but I actually am applauding him for doing this. Because yesterday I saw a lot of flack for it on Twitter, and even this morning as we were recording on Tuesday morning, as well, some people still are a little confused and they're waiting to do something. Gerson Rosas gets it. He gets it for biding his time. He gets it for not making a knee-jerk reaction. He gets it that this is a little bit of a complicated situation. There's not a lot of cap space at play. You haven't had draft picks. Do you want to attach a first-round pick to get something you really, really want? You have to figure out and weigh out these options. Gerson Rosas, friend of the show, has come on here before, talked about trades, talked about always wanting to be in discussions to making big moves and improving this team. But he didn't go out once free agency opened and threw a lot of money at people. I saw Lonzo Ball got a humongous contract from the Chicago Bulls, okay? This NBA free agency money is crazy. It's absolutely crazy because of the new TV deals, and rightfully so. But Gerson bided his time. He's waiting. He's waiting for the perfect time to strike to figure out what he can add to this team. It has to be very calculated. And I applaud Gerson. You know, how many times, Judd, did Chuck Fletcher of the Minnesota Wild just throw money at something? Paul Fenton with Matt Zuccarello on that 5-year no-move clause just to do something. Yep. I applaud Gerson Rosas for taking the time to figure out what the addition is before just making a knee-jerk reaction.
If you have a plan, and you should in that job, that's the best idea. Like you're right. And he had a good 2021. But Zuccarello is the poster child, right? Like, we got to get somebody. Okay, I'll just give him a no movement in 5 years. And I believe everybody else came in 1 year less. And Matt's is like, okay, thanks, Paul Fenton. Yeah, you've got to have a plan and a strategy. And I know that the start of free agency is more fun when your team participates. And if you're a Wolves fan, last night was a buzzkill, especially after a draft in which you had 0 draft picks and didn't pick one up. But that being said, yeah, I would much rather, if there's a plan here, if there's a strategy here, and I think that there is, I would prefer that over, yeah, we signed a guy to a 5-year contract and now we're stuck. Because the worst part is, and now we're stuck. So yes, I am with you on that one. All right, I'm going to go with a who doesn't.
Okay. I'm
going to go with fans of United States Olympic men's basketball. So the men's basketball team, you know, oh man, they're losing to so-and-so. Oh man, they might not win gold. Okay, let's review here. I believe it was in the 88 games when the last year that the U.S. sent amateur players and they didn't win it. And so if I'm not mistaken, Dex, in 92, we sent the Dream Team, which was everyone and their brother who was great at basketball, to show the world our dominance. And then subsequent Dream Teams and teams stacked with all-stars and talent from this country went and dominated, okay? We proved that we can do it. And so subsequently now, and I don't blame them, a lot of players like LeBron James are like, you know what? No, thank you. And so we send lesser players, and we're upset when we don't win. We proved that if we send our best players, we will win. And if we don't, basketball is a world game. We won't. Let's go in 4 years. Let's go back to amateur basketball players, okay? Because who cares at this point? And I will reiterate again, I do not want to see guys who just got done with the playoffs, who are very important to their team, but probably not the best players in the world, wasting their time playing summer league basketball that's like playoff games. This is my objection to shutting down the National Hockey League season to go to the winter games. My objection is you put these guys, Dex, in a place of playing incredibly aggressive, high-intensity games, right? But they're participating in a season. Like, that's like, and then they're fried by the playoffs, which I don't want. So, Olympic basketball, let's, from this country, start sending amateur players again. And if they win, that's awesome. Kudos. That was fun. And if they don't win, I don't give a damn. And in 50 years, we can again say, let's send a dream team to show our dominance, and I'll be dead, and that's fine. But like this whole thing about, well, they didn't win, now they're not going to win. I mean, yes, our good players, but not great, are not going to dominate. That's fine. We already proved if we want to, we can. That's the point. Let's leave the party now and send kids to play, and they can have fun. And if they get drilled, I don't care. Seriously.
Look, I like the Olympics. It's a cool time, but some of these basketball stands are pretty nuts, man. I hear you. It
But I
is
mean,
it is
they're
absolutely
acting
nutty.
like, oh, the United States. I mean, what's happening? I'll tell you what's
Right.
happening. We proved we kicked ass, and now those guys, the best guys, are saying, I need time off,
Yeah.
and
Goodbye.
they're right.
Yeah, and they're right. No, they're right. They're totally right to do that.
LeBron James needs time off.
This is a truncated season. It's been crazy with COVID too. Then the situation over there isn't exactly under control. So
Yeah.
I don't fault LeBron James or other big time stars. I know Kevin Durant's there, but I don't fault big time stars not wanting to go out and play in the Olympics.
There. And I don't want Durant there. Durant is hurt far too much playing for the Nets to have him playing again high intensity summer league basketball. I don't like that.
I'm going to piggyback perfectly off your point with Olympic basketball. And yesterday, and I'm even seeing it again this morning, you know who doesn't get it? Ricky Rubio stands. Ricky Rubio stands do not get this.
Okay.
So he goes off yesterday. Good for him. I'm happy for him. I'm glad that he had a great showing for Spain. That's amazing. I'm so happy for him. Good for him. And then, 4 days prior, we trade him, and now, oh my, classic Minnesota sports. Look at him balling out in the. It's the Olympics. It's not the NBA season. This isn't Game 6 of a first-round playoff series. He's the same guy.
Yeah.
He's the same guy as Mikhail Granlund. I don't care that Ricky Rubio balled out for Spain and the Timberwolves traded him 4 days prior.
No.
Okay, he was a nice. I will say this: when he left the Wolves the first time, he had a nice little resurgence there in Phoenix and Utah. The infrastructure around him was better. This year, there was still high hopes because you could run it back again. He was a little out of shape. He had some COVID issues. It was a slow burn. He was, very monumental to Anthony Edwards' development. That's all good and gravy. I don't care that he balls out in the Olympics. I don't care that you traded him 4 days prior. This team is better without him. Ricky Rubio was a fun prodigy and one of the best human beings ever. But in terms of helping out the Minnesota Timberwolves being a better basketball team, I can tell you right now, the team is better off without Ricky Rubio. And clearly, Ricky Rubio is better off without the Minnesota Timberwolves. Ricky Rubio stands. You do not get it. You don't get it.
Do you remember Granlund in the Olympic Games? My God, was he good. Bigger ice, the different rules. And I thought to myself, oh my God. Oh, he's got it now. He's got, and he came back and he was the same. I mean, he's fine. He was a good player, but my God. All right. Who gets it? I'm going to criticize the Twins by complimenting other teams.
Okay.
The White Sox, the Blue Jays, and any other team that at Friday's Major League Baseball trade deadline went for it and even gave up prospects that their fan base, and in doing shows on the Briones trade, we saw this directly from Toronto fans giving up prospects that their fan base didn't want to give up, because you know what they're trying to do, Declan? They're trying to not only make the playoffs, but they're trying to position themselves to make a playoff run. And you just keep coming back to the assumptions of the 2019 Twins, don't you? Oh man, we're going to be good for a long time. We can't make a trade now. Let's just make a couple small deals. When you are in the midst of a historic home run season, when you have a team that's just clicking, I mean, it's just a special year. The White Sox, the Blue Jays, and teams like that looked at their circumstances right now, not in 3 years, and said, no, damn it, we're going for it. They get it. There is nothing more dangerous in sports, Dex, than assumptions. Oh, man, we're going to be good for a long time. Don't worry.
Relationships, too.
Don't sweat it. Yeah, that's a whole nother story, and you could talk about that sometime. But I'm going to talk about how sports. So relationships or sports, don't ever assume the future. Don't ever assume that you're going to be good. Oh, we're going to win a World Series in 3 years, so we can't make that trade. The Chicago White Sox are the poster child because they are. Now, it's not the same as home runs go because they actually don't hit a ton. But they are having the type of season that the 2019 Twins did, right? Like, they're way out in front. The Central Division is theirs. They could have stood pat, and they would still win it by 9 games. But what did they say? They said, our bullpen and our pitching needs improvement for the playoffs. Screw the division for the playoffs, right? What if the Twins in 2019 had said that? What if the Twins had said, okay, we got the division locked up, but when we go into, let's say, let me think out loud here, Yankee Stadium, that in game 2, we might not want to start Randy Dobnik, or our bullpen has to be top to bottom better Think about
Right.
that. So the White Sox completely get it. They are making the moves the 2019 Twins should have made. And I hope Derek Falvey is watching, because sometimes you have to sacrifice to get where you want to go right now.
Yeah, actually, I asked Jake Depew this question on Friday when we were breaking down the last minutes of the MLB trade deadline. Revisionist history, if you could go back and you could go back to the 2019 trade deadline, which I believe, Zach Greinke was a possibility. Marcus Stroman got traded to the Mets. Yep. Mad Bum was available, not the same guy he was, but there was guys to be had, basically. Would you rather go back to 2019 and redo that trade deadline to get maybe one of those three guys I listed? Would you rather go back to 2010 and pull off the trade for Cliff Lee? It is a fascinating one to me. I think I would have done 2010. Depew said 2019. I get that. That lineup was definitely more top to bottom better. Obviously, the best home run hitting team in Major League history. But I think in general, if you would have had Cliff Lee, Lariano going into that 1-2, I still know there was a little bit of questions on the back end there. But with Pavano as your 3, I would have done that trade. I think I would have, if I could go back in time and do one of those two over, I probably would have done 2010 again.
I love that one. So I guess what frustrates me more about 19, though, is this. The 2010 lack of a Cliff Lee trade was sort of how that administration operated, so it didn't really shock me that they didn't. Falvey was new and had the opportunity to move, and he basically pulled a Terry Ryan or Bill Smith, or worse than that, by doing nothing. That's a really good question. I think I would take 2010, just because if you plugged in the 2010 Cliff Lee into that rotation, it gets damn good. Greinke could have blocked a trade here, and I think he might have, but that does not mean that you couldn't have gone out and solidified things.
Sure.
And again, that it's inexcusable to have to explain to the players on the 2019 team that Randy Dobnak is starting game 2. Like, how do you go to Nelson Cruz, who was, marvelous that year, right? And, I think he's 39 at the time and had this great year. How do you go to him, Declan, and say, hey, Nelson, here's what we're doing? Yeah, what? Who's starting game 2? The Dauber.
The Dauber.
But I mean, how do you sell that in a clubhouse? Because there are so many ingredients that bring a year like that together. Like, there's a lot of different things. And chemistry is big. And some years things just go well. And you parade Randy Dobnak out there in game 2 as like your answer. That's looking the baseball gods in the face and saying, ha ha, we got you, we'll be back. And they're like, oh, no. So anyway.
I have one more who gets it, and it's kind of actually, it's not contradictory of your last one, but it's maybe the opposite of it. I do say, I think Falvey and Levine get it, that they handled this MLB trade deadline the proper way. It's sad that it took them being sellers for them to have their best trade deadline yet. And they've sold before, by the way. They sold in 2017. They punted on Brandon Kinsler. They sold in 2018 when the Lance Lynn and all those one-year deals didn't work out. They punted on Eduardo Escobar, but this year was a full-on selling. This was a fire sale. You got 4 good prospects in return for Jose Barrios and Nelson Cruz. You somehow, I don't know how, and I want to get Falvey and Levine maybe a couple cocktails or Surly's in to explain to me how in the belief they got J.A. Happ to go to the Cardinals and get actually 2 things worthwhile. Are they going to turn into prominent players on your roster to rebuild? Maybe not, but still someone took J.A. Happ, who was the worst qualified starter in baseball, essentially, through the last 3 months of the season. So I applaud them. They realized it. I'm a big fan of outside of sports and in sports of self-awareness. Falvey and Levine had the self-awareness to realize that this deadline had to be sellers, and they did that. They pulled off the trade. I'm actually going to, when Joe Ryan does report back from the Olympics, I would love to go to St. Paul. I want to see this kid pitch.
Might be at Target Field.
Might be at Target Field even here soon enough. Who knows with how bad this pitching is for the Twins. So I applaud Falvey and Levine. They do get it. I
struggle to applaud them, though, because the season is such a disaster. So, like, I'm with you. I'm with you on the fact that it does appear, and its appearances, we don't know for sure. It does appear that they got 4 good prospects back. That being said, how did you get here? Like, this was, you were supposed to contend with the White Sox here. And I know that the Sox are really good, but you were supposed to contend with them, fight them. There is no, okay, Tigers, right? rebuilding still. They've been terrible. They're actually, I think, popping back up a little bit, but no expectations, right?
Yep.
Royals, no expectations, zero. Cleveland has been actively dumping, and I don't know how they continue at times to win games, but
No kidding.
Cleveland has been dumping. They've been dumping off pitching. I mean, hell, they traded their second baseman to the White Sox. So the expectations there, I think, are tepid at best. The Minnesota Twins were supposed to be the only team in the AL Central decks to battle the White Sox, and it has been a disaster on every level. And by the way, a lot of it's your fault. Like if you're the Twins, a lot of this is your fault. I know guys have been hurt. I know, we can certainly go down the Valley Sports North path and make excuses, but there's also a lot of things that they screwed up that they didn't do. I mean, signing Hap in the shoe in the first place, just a complete boondoggle. So I'm with you in the fact that I like the perception that they got good prospects if they felt that they had to pull the trigger on these trades. I can't give them a ton of credit because if there was an award for worst executives in baseball for 2021, these two might get it. Like, it's been that bad. It has. Like, almost everything. And then you go and lowball Buxton. I mean, come on.
I know, man.
So
anyway,
all right. I'm done too. So I think we are through here. Phil, by the way, back tomorrow for Write That Down, in which case I think we're all going to have about 6 Vikings Write That Downs tomorrow, because there's a lot of predictions to be made. And Kirk Cousins, I am told, is going to return on Thursday and probably talk on Thursday or Friday to explain. And he has a lot of explaining to do. He is Declan. I am Judd. It's Mackey and Judd. Phil back tomorrow. For Miguel Sano, talk to you.